Hey guys, as I'm sure you've probably heard by now, President Biden is pushing a new national vaccine mandate that could infringe on millions of Americans' liberty. But the logic that the president is using to justify this sweeping mandate, well, it's utterly inconsistent, and it doesn't make any sense at all. Let's break it down. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to Breaking Brad, a series with me, your wonderful and gorgeous host, Brad Polumbo, where we break down the big picture issues in our politics and help you figure out what's really going on. Today, we're talking about Biden's new national vaccine mandate, and to begin, let's just look at the facts to see what exactly is in the president's new order. The Labor Department issued this new mandate, and it will apply to companies with 100 or more employees. It basically says that they have to force their employees to get vaccinated or require them to undergo weekly COVID testing, which is really expensive and cumbersome for a business to apply with, so it doesn't really give businesses a way out of this mandate unless they're willing to take on some major costs. Now, any company found in violation of this mandate will face a fine of up to $14,000 per violation. So it could get expensive real quick, and this could apply to almost 80 million Americans who work for these types of employers. Simply put, the Biden administration is trying to go beyond its constitutional authority and strong-arm people into getting vaccinated, even if they're still hesitant about doing so. Now, you don't have to take it from me, just let's take a listen to Joe Biden himself and what he had to say about this mandate and why he's doing it.
My job as president is to protect all Americans. So tonight, I'm announcing that the Department of Labor is developing an emergency rule to require all employers with 100 or more employees that together employ over 80 million workers to ensure their workforces are fully vaccinated. The bottom line, we're going to protect vaccinated workers from unvaccinated coworkers. We've been patient, but our patience is wearing thin, and your refusal has cost all of us. This is not about freedom or personal choice. It's about protecting yourself and those around you.
Now, there's a lot to unpack there, and I'm going to explain why what the president just said doesn't make any sense and doesn't justify this kind of government order infringing on people's most basic liberties and bodily autonomy. But first, this is an important disclaimer. This is not an anti-vax video. I'm not an anti-vax commentator or activist. I actually got the Pfizer vaccine as soon as I was able to and took it because, as far as I can tell, the vaccines are highly safe and effective, and I encourage you to take them if you want to. But what we're really talking about here is not pro-vax or anti-vax, but pro-choice or anti-choice, force or coercion, bodily autonomy, or these sweeping government mandates. And these infringements that are literally threatening millions of people to take away their livelihoods if they don't submit to forced injections, well, those mandates, they would need a real strong justification in any world where they're possibly going to fly. But what the president is trying to justify this with, it doesn't make any sense. You see, he's trying to say two things at once. On one hand, he is correctly saying that the vaccines are highly effective. They keep people safe. They almost eliminate the risk of hospitalization and death. This is totally true. The president is right to say this. Almost everyone still sadly dying in this pandemic is unvaccinated. And most of the people who are in the hospitals are also unvaccinated. The vaccines are very effective at reducing your risk of hospitalization and death, even though you can apparently get these breakthrough cases where you still may get sick or test positive. But even with breakthrough cases, according to the CDC, more than 99.99% of people fully vaccinated against COVID-19 have not had a breakthrough case resulting in hospitalization or death. In fact, the fully vaccinated are less likely to die of COVID-19 than they are to die from a bee sting. Yes, seriously. The vaccines work. But President Biden is trying to claim on one hand that the vaccines keep you completely safe from dying or hospitalization in COVID, but also that we need to force the unvaccinated to take the vaccine in order to protect people who have taken it. That doesn't make any sense. That's immediately inconsistent. Because if the vaccine protects you, then you're safe, regardless of whether your neighbor has taken it. President Biden talks about protecting vaccinated workers from the unvaccinated, but that does not make any sense. The vaccine protects them. That's the point of the vaccine. In a world with safe, effective, and free at point of access vaccines, there is no longer a COVID externality. Your decision to take the vaccine or not take the vaccine, with some exceptions and caveats, it basically only affects you. You're putting yourself at potential risk or potential gain, and that's a choice that should be up to you because other people have the ability to get vaccinated if they want to. You're not endangering them by exercising your choice to not take the vaccine. So Biden's biggest argument about forcing people to take the vaccine because he's out of patience and we need to protect the vaccinated, it is completely illogical and ignores the entire point of vaccination to begin with. The truth is that there's no need for mandates anymore at all, because any adult who has had the opportunity to get the vaccine, which almost everybody basically has, well, any adult that chooses not to, they're choosing to forego the potential benefits and to take on the risks that they might end up hospitalized or dying of COVID. That's sad and tragic if they do, but that's their choice. And so there's no basis for other people to come in and say, no, your choice about your own health and your own body is wrong. We need to force you and override it. Unless you believe that the American people are too stupid and incompetent to decide their own bodily autonomy and medical decisions, and that we need the experts and brilliant people in government to decide it for them. But I can tell you that one is a recipe for disaster. Now, there are a few caveats that people might bring up or counter-arguments as to why my argument that Biden's incoherent on this issue is wrong. One of those would be children. They might say that children under 12 can't receive the vaccine, so we have to force everyone else to take it in order to protect the children. On surface, I mean, maybe this makes a little bit of sense, but thank God, children are actually at next to zero risk of dying from COVID to begin with. According to Johns Hopkins doctor Marty Makary, COVID-19 has a mortality rate of 0 among children without a pre-existing medical condition such as leukemia. Children are also extremely unlikely to experience COVID-19 symptoms serious enough to warrant hospitalization. Basically, in the absence of extreme circumstances, kids are not at danger of dying from COVID-19, and they're at very, very low risk of being hospitalized, yes, even for the Delta variant. So you can't use kids as anything more than a tool of emotional manipulation. It's not actually a good argument to force people to take the vaccine against their will. Some people might also cite the small, but not 0% of people that for medical reasons cannot take vaccines. Now, these are immuno-compromised people or people with rare conditions, and they may, unfortunately, have to continue to take protective measures like wearing N95 masks or self-isolating, but you can't justify violating the bodily autonomy of millions of people with rare edge cases, particularly when those individuals can still take steps to protect their own health. One of the other counter-arguments that people bring up is about variants. They would say, well, we have to mandate the vaccines because if we just allow people to make their own choices and there's some spread of COVID still here in the US, well, that could give rise to dangerous variants that might not work against the vaccines or might be put even more people in harm's way. This is certainly a legitimate concern, but it doesn't actually justify mandates because the truth is, there are millions of people across the globe, actually billions of people across the globe, who unfortunately are not going to have access to vaccines anytime soon. And there will be millions and millions and millions of people spreading COVID-19, whether we like it or not, worldwide for years to come. The variants are going to happen one way or another. I mean, the Delta variant came from India. We have all sorts of other variants cropping up from all over the world. If you're arguing that a few million people here or there in the US is going to make the difference for variants, you don't have an argument at all. Another point that people bring up is hospitalizations. Apparently, the unvaccinated are filling up hospitals, and that could delay, in some rare cases, other people's medical care. This is the most valid objection, I think, but even then there's some misconceptions around this. People see statistics about how full ICUs are, and they think that hospitals are overwhelmed. And in some cases they are, but we also need to remember that ICUs are meant to function at a very high capacity, a high percentage of the beds filled. Otherwise, that would be very wasteful if they were just functioning at 50% capacity all the time. So we do have a lot of capacity still. This is still a relatively minor phenomenon, only occurring in serious levels in a few parts of the country, and it cannot justify forcibly violating the rights of millions of people nationwide. The truth is that this is an authoritarian power grab from a president that has shown he doesn't really care about the Constitution and doesn't respect your bodily autonomy or your individual liberty. He's made excuses about how this is to protect the vaccinated from the unvaccinated, but those excuses are just excuses. There's no arguments there that actually make any logical sense at all. So if Joe Biden really wants to force millions of people to take the vaccine against their will, if he really wants to unilaterally use the executive branch of the government to override millions of Americans' personal health decisions, well, he should admit that he's doing that because he doesn't respect people's freedom and he thinks that the government can make better decisions for you than you can for yourself. He shouldn't wrap it behind empty and inconsistent logic about protecting people who have already protected themselves. That's it for this video, guys. I really hope that you did enjoy today's video. If you did, leave a like and go ahead and leave a comment as well. I do read every single comment. So if you take the time right now to go comment, I will read it. Even if you tell me I'm ugly and iced coffee, which I love, is trash, I will unfortunately have to read that. So go ahead and comment. Also, if you're new to this channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on those bell notifications for more content like this. I do this Breaking Brad series, breaking down the issues in our politics, and I also have an interview podcast with everybody from Senator Rand Paul to YouTuber Blair White. If you're new to this channel, thanks for joining me today. Subscribe, like, comment, and I'll see you in the next video.